got Dan Dix on from Press for Truth in Canada. He has a new film coming out, United We Fall. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
How you doing, brother?
Good. Doing really good. Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Yeah. I know. First, I wanted to get into, for people who aren't familiar, you're with Press for Truth out of Canada, and I know you've been up at the G20 up in Toronto getting some preliminary coverage. Can you tell us some things that are going on up there?
Yeah, for sure. Probably a couple weeks ago, I actually received a tip from somebody who told me about a terrorism drill, a civilian evacuation drill that was going to be going on down in the financial district downtown. So, me and a couple of guys who worked with me went down to check it out, and we ended up capturing some pretty good footage of the drill. So we put out a video about that. And then it was about a week later that we went down to the same area, the financial district, to do some more reporting on the G20, a little pre-G20 report, when private security guards asked one of my camera guys for his ID. Now, at this point, we're on a public sidewalk, and we know that we're allowed to film. So he didn't present his ID, and so the police were called, and my guy got arrested. So this just happened about a week ago, and we're definitely going to be taking the matter to court because the whole arrest was done, illegally. It turns out that they didn't even file any kind of a report. There's no record of the arrest on file down at police headquarters, so my guy was put in handcuffs and searched, and they searched his bag, they took out his ID from his pocket, and it was all done illegally. So that's just it goes to show what kind of what security is like leading up to the G20 here in Toronto. They're definitely pretty serious about it, to the point where they're going to infringe on Canadians' rights and freedoms. So that's what we're facing. That's what we're facing right now with this whole G20 thing.
Yeah, I heard they have a FEMA camp already ready up there, and or a place where they're gonna take detainees. Did you get to make it over to that location at all?
Well, I've heard of a few possible locations, but no, I haven't personally checked them out. I've heard of a few things that run, close to train tracks and that are basically huge empty warehouses, basically. But I haven't had a chance to get out and check any of that out. What dates is the G20 taking place? Well, the G20 is on June 25th and 26th. June 26th and 27th, and there's also the G8. Is being held on the 25th and 26th. So the two summits kind of cross over each other. G8 is June 25th and 26th, and G20 is the 26th and 27th. So I've actually put together a pretty solid team. I've got about 15 cameramen. I've got 3 video editors. I got 1 still photographer, and we're going to be covering the G20 summit from every single possible angle. And we'll be getting footage up online, as soon as possible, so that we can show the world what's really happening. Because we all know the way that mainstream media reports on things like the G20 is always, it's just never true. So we're going to be there to show everybody what's really happening. That's awesome, man. I'm gonna have to twist your arm a little bit, Dan, to see if you can come on our show and give us some live updates throughout the G20. Yeah, I'll definitely see what I can do for sure. It's going to be hectic. It's tough to say what it's going to be like at this point. But yeah, for those 3 days, we'll be doing nothing but that. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, if you want to get a hold of me. Yeah. I heard that this time they're putting almost like a free speech zone or like a protest zone, actually like a mile away from actually where it's taking place. Is that true? Yeah, that's true. They originally stated a couple weeks ago that it was going to be at a place called Trinity Bellwoods Park, which turns out that it's it's about 3 kilometers away from the actual summit. And it's like I pointed out in my last video there that, you know, in Canada we have the right, protesters have the right to be seen and to be heard. So they said they're going to get around that issue by putting cameras and microphones into the park so that the protesters' messages can be, you know, put into the meeting room. But you know, I would certainly doubt that would actually happen. But the location for that has changed now. Actually, we went to a town hall meeting, and the head of police, the head of security in charge of everything for G20, you know, stated that things can change. He said, everything I tell you tonight might change. So far, that protest location has changed, and I believe now they're holding it at Queen's Park, which I think is even further away. But I actually also got the opportunity to ask him. You know, it was a town hall meeting, so I got up in the microphone and I said, you know, back in 2007, there was a summit that I went to in Montebello, Quebec, where 3 police officers were caught as agent provocateurs. They had rocks in their hands. They were attempting to incite violence in order to get the peaceful protesters to join in. And I said to him, I said, can you assure me that the Toronto Police Force will not engage in any agent provocateur activities at the G20 summit? And his answer, you know, when he eventually answered the question, was basically, I'm not at liberty to discuss the security issues in an open format. So basically, he didn't say, no, we won't use agent provocateurs. He just said, I can't discuss security issues, which is frightening. Because I was there in Montebello. I witnessed it, and it, you know, it was crazy, and it's totally illegal that they do things like that.
Well, yeah, and you know they're going to do it, and you know they caught him in Portland doing that. I mean, the very same people that stage the event get arrested by the cops, and then the cops go around the corner, turn around, take the handcuffs off them, let them go. You know, they're wearing police-issued boots. I mean, it's ridiculous the levels these people go to shut the protests down and demonize the protesters. Dan Dix, getting into some of your previous projects and some updates on the SPP in North American Union. You know, The Nation's Deathbed was a great documentary. Do you have any updates on the North American Union and SPP, and can you talk a little bit about it in general for the listeners and anyone who's not aware of what the Security and Prosperity Partnership is and the North American Union?
Sure. Yeah, the North American Union, to sum it up, is a plan. It's an agenda to basically merge the 3 countries, Canada, U.S., and Mexico, together into a union, very similar to what happened over in Europe with the European Union. So often the way that they achieve these things is incrementally. So in the case of the North American Union, things have been pushed through incrementally through trade deals. It started with the General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, which I believe was back in 1948. Then, you know, another big step was the FTA, the Free Trade Agreement, and then NAFTA came after that, the North American Free Trade Agreement, and then right after that was the SPP, the Security and Prosperity Partnership. So these are all basically incremental steps that are leading towards this idea of a North American Union. So yeah, in our film, The Nation's Deathbed, we documented the SPP in great length because that was the most recent major step that they've taken. Now, they don't refer to their meetings as SPP meetings anymore. They basically changed the name. You know, I think people they're realizing they're being figured out, so they're not calling it the SPP anymore. When they do get together now, they call it, I believe it's called the Meeting of the North Americans. So yeah, that's what's going on with the North American Union. And yeah, with the new film, we've managed to interview a lot of the major players, a lot of the guys who were involved